Welcome to the show. Today we're diving into a stubborn problem in B2B SaaS. Why is it so hard to turn technical expertise into content that actually builds trust and drives business?
Thanks for having me. It's such a relevant challenge. If you look across the industry, you'll see a chronic lag. Experts are busy, and by the time their insights are translated to market, the moment's often past.
Absolutely, and it's not just about timing. There's a huge emotional element. Experts fear their ideas will be watered down, while buyers are wary of vague, generic content. It creates a trust gap on both sides.
Let's unpack that. Why do you think so much B2B SaaS content ends up feeling bland or superficial, despite all the expertise on hand?
A lot comes down to the translation process. Technical SMEs speak in detail, assumptions, and nuance. Marketers, under pressure to ship content, often simplify too much or miss the core insight. The result? Content that's technically correct, but emotionally flat and generic.
It's a classic case of the curse of knowledge. Experts struggle to step into the shoes of the buyer, who might not have the same context. So, the content either talks over their head or fails to address real pain points.
And buyers aren't passive in this. They're scanning for authenticity. They can spot recycled messaging a mile off. Do you have examples of where this goes wrong?
Certainly. Take a cybersecurity SaaS firm we worked with. Their white papers were technically sound, but read like instruction manuals. No narrative, no empathy for the reader's anxieties. Engagement was near zero.
Contrast that with a fintech SaaS company that started embedding real customer mini cases, showing how clients navigated regulatory changes in real time. Suddenly, their thought leadership landed because it felt specific and urgent.
So what's the risk if companies keep churning out generic content?
It's not just wasted effort, it actively erodes trust. According to the Edelman Trust Barometer, 63% of B2B buyers say they lose confidence when content feels generic. That's a commercial risk, not just a marketing problem.
And in a crowded SaaS market, trust is currency. If your competitors are delivering more authentic, timely content, you're not just invisible, you're losing ground.
Let's talk solutions. You both advocate a hybrid workflow, capturing SME insights once, then using AI to scale and adapt that content. Walk us through how that actually works, step by step.
The first step is capture. We run structured interviews or short workshops with SMEs, recording their thoughts in their own words. The key is to create a psychologically safe space so they're comfortable sharing both their expertise and their gut feel about the market.
Then comes transformation. AI tools, think semantic summarization and prompt engineering, turn those raw insights into multiple formats: blogs, LinkedIn posts, even short videos. But crucially, we always preserve the SME's voice.
How do you stop the AI from flattening things out or injecting errors?
Validation is non-negotiable. Every output goes back to the SME for a sense check. We use checklists drawn from academic research. Does this reflect your intent? Is the technical accuracy intact? It's about closing the feedback loop, not replacing the expert.
And finally, deployment. Content is scheduled across channels, timed to news cycles or major industry events. We also monitor real-time UK and global news to ensure relevance. For example, after the spring budget was announced, we rapidly published sector-specific analysis within hours.
That sounds powerful. Are you seeing measurable benefits from this approach?
Absolutely. One SaaS client saw a 40% uptick in qualified leads after switching to this workflow, because their thought leadership started to feel both authoritative and timely. Industry reports back this up. Hybrid human-AI models consistently outperform either alone.
And it's scalable. Once the engine is running, you can produce consistent, high-quality content without burning out your experts. That's a huge competitive edge.
Let's dig into trust. You've both mentioned a trust architecture. What does that look like in practice?
It starts by mapping skepticism triggers. Buyers are on alert for red flags, overpromising, lack of evidence, or jargon. each trigger needs a corresponding trust signal, transparent sourcing, real-world examples, and direct SME quotes.
We also use psychological safety cues. For instance, admitting uncertainty or sharing what we got wrong stories can paradoxically build more trust. There's strong behavioral science on this. People trust brands that show vulnerability and learning.
Can you give a practical example of mapping one skepticism trigger to a trust signal?
Sure. Let's say buyers are skeptical at exaggerated ROI claims. Instead of blanket statements, we publish anonymized case studies with specific numbers, dates, and context, plus a section on the limitations of the approach.
Or if there's doubt about technical credibility, we include a short video clip from the SME walking through their decision logic. That humanizes the content and showcases expertise in real time.
How do you ensure this approach stays relevant as the news and market landscape shifts?
We use a newsjacking framework, building a rapid response team that can pivot content within hours when a major policy or market event breaks. For example, when the FCA issued new guidelines on AI in fintech, we published an SME-led explainer within 24 hours.
It's about being present where the conversation is happening. We set up monitoring dashboards for both UK and global trends, so our content pipeline is always fed by what matters now.
What about the emotional side for SMEs? How do you help them get comfortable with this new workflow?
It's a mix of reassurance and process. We make it clear their expertise is central. They're not being replaced, but amplified. We also show them early wins, their words, reaching new audiences, driving real engagement.
We also provide training on how AI works in content transformation, reducing the fear factor. When they see their raw insights enhanced but not distorted, they become advocates for the workflow.
Let's zoom out to the market. How fast is this hybrid model being adopted?
It's accelerating. According to a 2024 Forrester report, over 50% of leading SaaS firms are now piloting AI-driven thought leadership engines. Those dragging their feet are already seeing a dip in engagement metrics.
And the gap will only widen. Early adopters are building content libraries that compound over time, while laggards scramble to keep up.
For listeners wanting to get started, can you outline the implementation roadmap?
Certainly. Step 1. Capture. Schedule regular, focused sessions with your SMEs. Think insight sprints, not endless meetings. Step 2. Transform. Use AI-assisted tools to structure and format the content, but always review for accuracy.
Step 3. Validate. Run each piece by the SME for a quick review. And Step 4. Deploy. Publish across channels, monitor performance, and iterate based on feedback. It's a virtuous cycle.
And for those worried about complexity or cost?
Start small. Pilot with one campaign or product line. Many AI tools now integrate directly with existing CMS platforms. The real investment is in building the workflow and trust, not massive new tech.
And don't underestimate the internal culture shift. The firms that win are those that see content as a core business asset, not an afterthought.
Before we wrap up, any final words for SaaS leaders hesitant to embrace this approach?
The biggest risk isn't trying and failing, it's staying stuck. The market is moving, and buyers are savvier than ever. Hybrid human AI content isn't a fad, it's the new baseline.
If you want your brand to be seen as an authority and to convert that authority into real growth, this is the moment to act. The workflow we've described is proven, practical, and future-proof.
Brilliant insights. For listeners ready to bridge the expert content gap, we invite you to reach out and explore how this system can drive your next phase of growth. Thanks both for joining us. Before we close, let's get practical for our listeners. If a SaaS company wants to launch this hybrid content engine next quarter, what would a hands-on week 1 checklist look like? And can you share a misstep or two you've seen in the wild?
Absolutely. Let's break it down. Week 1 is all about foundations, not fancy tech. First, Identify your core subject matter experts and schedule a 30-minute content capture session. Think roundtable or fireside chat, not a formal briefing. The trick is to make it as low pressure as possible so you actually get the gold dust insights that buyers want. Next, map out your key buyer personas. What skepticism do they bring? What proof points do they crave? Even a simple 2-column table, fears on one side, trust signals on the other, can direct your whole content pipeline. And don't forget to audit your existing content for gaps. Are there topics where you sound generic or unsure? That's where your SME's authentic voice will have most impact.
I'd add a step that's often missed. Set up a rapid feedback loop with both marketing and a trusted customer or two. After that first content session is AI transformed, share a draft with them. Ask, does this sound like us? Would you trust it? Does it answer real objections? I've seen teams skip this, go straight to publishing, and then wonder why they get crickets, or worse, pushback from the sales floor. Early feedback is how you build both confidence and alignment.
That's practical. Are there any classic pitfalls you see when teams try to scale this workflow?
One big one, over-polishing. The temptation is to edit out every bit of personality for fear of sounding unprofessional. But what actually happens is you lose that raw authoritative edge buyers trust. Another is failing to close the loop with your SMEs. If they never see how their input turns into real market impact, leads generated, questions answered, they disengage. A simple monthly win email, sharing content stats and feedback, keeps the flywheel spinning.
I'd also flag the danger of relying solely on AI for the translation bit. AI's fantastic for first drafts and structure, but the final mile needs a human, preferably someone who knows both the tech and the customer context. I've seen content engines churn out beautifully formatted, totally bland output when left unchecked. That's how you end up with the sort of generic white papers we all ignore.
Brilliant. For teens listening, here's a quick starter checklist based on what you've shared. 1. Identify and schedule SME sessions. 2. Map skepticism and trust signals. 3. Audit for content gaps. 4. Set up a rapid feedback loop. And 5. Keep SMEs in the loop on results. Anything you'd add for a UK context in particular?
Yes, local relevance is huge. For UK SaaS, weave in news or regulatory updates, GDPR, tech skills shortages, market shifts, directly into your content cadence. For example, if there's been a big fintech regulatory change, have an SME weigh in that week. It signals you're not just talking theory, you're in the trenches with your readers. And it's a trust builder. Buyers want to know you're plugged in, not on autopilot from a distant HQ.
And don't underestimate the power of referencing UK-specific research or case studies. Think ONS reports, local success stories, or even customer quotes that name-check UK regions or industries. It's a small detail, but in crowded B2B markets, it's often the difference between being scrolled past and being bookmarked.
Great points. Let's get even more granular. Suppose a team wants to operationalize this workflow for the first time. What does a typical week look like, step by step, without it becoming a massive time sink alongside everyone's day jobs?
Absolutely. Monday, set aside 30 minutes for a focused SME recording. Could be a Zoom or even just a voice note. Use a structured prompt like, what's the #1 question prospects asked you last week? Tuesday, run that raw recording through an AI tool to draft blog snippets, LinkedIn posts, or even a quick explainer video script. Wednesday, have a content lead review and tailor those outputs, making sure UK context and tone are intact. Watch for those subtle nuances, like spelling or references to local legislation. By Thursday, circulate drafts internally for SME sign-off and quick peer review. Friday, schedule the content and send a short content wins email to the SME, showing reach, shares, or any direct feedback. Rinse and repeat. By the third week, the process feels natural.
To avoid overwhelm, I'd also recommend batching similar tasks. For example, Gather all news monitoring and regulatory updates on Monday mornings. Set up Google Alerts for keywords like UK SaaS compliance or tech sector skills gap. Keep a living doc of timely angles or data points. When you're ready to create, you've already got a bank of local insights to draw from, saving loads of research time. One pitfall: don't let the AI overrule your brand voice. It's tempting to let automation run wild, but always set clear style guides and have a human do the final sense check, especially for sensitive topics like layoffs or legal changes.
Fantastic advice. Let's talk practicalities. What tools or setups have you seen actually work for UK B2B SaaS teams, especially those without big content departments? I'm thinking specifics. Do people need fancy transcription software, or will Google Docs and a decent dictation app do the trick? And any workflow hacks for keeping all these moving parts, SME input, news monitoring, AI drafts, organized in reality, not just theory?
Great question. Honestly, you don't need to break the bank. For most teams, Otter AI or Microsoft Teams built-in transcription is more than enough for turning SME rambles into text. Pair that with Notion or Trello for tracking content ideas, status, and deadlines. Set up a simple board with columns for raw insight, AI draft, review, and scheduled. For news, Feedly is underrated. You can build a custom feed just for UK tech, compliance news, and even set up Slack alerts for specific keywords. One hack: use a shared Google Sheet as a content cockpit. Drop links to new regulations, quotes, even AI outputs in there with dates and who's leading each piece. It makes handovers seamless and stops ideas getting lost in email chains.
To add, for AI drafting, ChatGPT or Jasper work well if you give them a clear prompt and context about your UK audience. Just keep a prompt template handy. And for keeping everyone aligned, a quick 10-minute stand-up on Monday can be a game changer. Each person shares what they're working on, any new news angles, and where they need SME input. It keeps things human and stops bottlenecks. Pitfall to avoid: don't overcomplicate with too many tools. Pick 2 or 3. Get everyone comfortable. Then layer on as you grow. Simplicity is your friend when you're starting out.
Brilliant, really actionable. Now, let's tackle something that often trips teams up: making sure the final content genuinely resonates with UK buyers, especially those who are naturally skeptical or wary of marketing fluff. What practical steps have you seen to map real customer skepticism to trust-building content, beyond just ticking off case studies or testimonials? Any checklists or cues people should watch for in the review process?
Absolutely. One approach I love is to keep a running list of the top objections sales or customer success teams hear. Things like, is your data really stored in the UK? Or, how do you handle GDPR updates? Each piece of content should explicitly answer at least one of these, ideally with proof points. Screenshots of compliance dashboards, named examples of how UK clients use your product, or links to third-party audits. During review, have a checklist. Does this piece address a common skepticism? Does it cite specific, up-to-date UK regulations or news stories? Have we included a clear author bio so it's not just faceless marketing speak? Finally, look for psychological safety cues, plain language, honest limitations, and a call to ask more questions. If the content feels too perfect, buyers tune out. Realness builds trust.